Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to my channel. It is Christian here, and you are tuned in for more of my 2 cents, where we dive deep into the realms of religion and deconstruction. Now, if you are joining me for the first time, welcome. I hope you are ready to get into some thought-provoking conversation and dialogue where we explore the intricacies of belief systems, challenge conventional thinking, and unravel the layers of faith, doubt, and discovery. Through open discussions and insightful explorations, we'll navigate the complexities of deconstruction in various religious contexts. And I want you to know that this is a safe space, all right, for reflection and growth, as well as understanding. I'm all about making sure that we know what we are talking about and what we are processing when we discuss anything, even though it is my 2 cents. I want you to know that your 2 cents matters too, because it's your journey, it's not mine. So, whether you're questioning, seeking, or simply curious, this channel is a safe space and a sanctuary for exploring the intersections of spirituality and self discovery. So, let's embark on this transformative journey together. But before we do, there are 2 points, well, three, my bad. There are 3 points that matter most before I start any discussion. Number one, you're not alone. Number two, you're not crazy. Number three, God, your creator, still loves you, and I do too. Now, today is going to be a great video, but I want to welcome you to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in and for watching. If you enjoy yourself, hopefully you will click around, stick around, and join the channel by subscribing. I would love to add you to my 2 cents crew. And if you are a returning 2 center, welcome back. I am so grateful to have you guys here. And I always look forward to our discussions and being able to get some things off my chest when I see some things out here in these streets related to church. Oh my gosh, the people are still acting up. And I don't know when God gonna come get his people, buddy. Come for your folks, because they're doing a lot. Come for your folks because they doing the most. Okay? Heavenly host. Get into it. No Holy Ghost. Y'all know I got the bars for y'all in case y'all want them. They are available. Um, but today is going to be another reaction to a video that I literally just saw scrolling through Facebook. I was like, well, I'm gonna wait to record tomorrow on Sunday. You know, that's my chill day. We will be celebrating my son's birthday today. And when I saw this video, I was like, no, I got time today. I got time today for Pastor Kim Owens. If you all are familiar with Pastor Kim Owens, I am not. This is my first time ever seeing her. But today is going to be a great day to discuss what she has to say about church hurt and offense. So let's watch her video. And when it is over, I will be back with my 2 cents.
We have got to get a handle on this church hurt thing. It is straight from hell. It is straight from hell. I'm sorry if there was an abuse to you in another congregation. I'm sorry if there was a leader who mishandled his or her authority. But most of the time, the hurt that you're talking about is you have been offended because somebody has called you on your laziness. Somebody has called you on your disobedience. Somebody has called you on your rebellion and on your disunity. Church, we've got to get over it so we can stop taking 2 steps forward and 5 steps backward. The devil is wreaking havoc and hell in a nation while we stay offended because we have church hurt. Come on.
All right. So Kim was feeling herself. Kim was feeling this message. Kim was feeling, the moment. And she was definitely being cheered on and given the support, the support of her peers who were sitting in the seats. And I got to tell you, being in those kind of environments are very high energy. They're extremely emotionally driven, which is anything. Imagine being in a concert with people who are excited to be there and they love the songs and the artist. Imagine being at a conference for your job or an organization that you've joined and you love the group of people you're around and the presenters that are up or the panels that's there and you're excited. Imagine being at an empowerment conference or an inspirational event and you're going for the sole purpose of being inspired, networking, connecting, and being empowered. You're going to give off the energy that connects with whoever is before you presenting, talking, or whatever. But the interesting thing about church environments like this, and I'm going to get to what Kim said, okay, with my 2 cents. The interesting thing about these kind of environments is that they are so one-sided. Even if the people in the audience don't really agree with you, or if they're not realizing that they have been victims of church hurt, they're still going to shout you up. They're not going to shut down on you. People in the church are infamous. And if you don't know what infamous is, let me give y'all the definition, because I keep seeing adults use it as if though it's a good term, and it's not. Infamous is having a reputation of the worst kind. Can we? Okay. Infamous, having a reputation of the worst kind. If famous is being well known, infamous is having a poor reputation. You're not a good person. This is not a good association or, situation or recipe or piece of clothing like the infamous chili recipe. That means it's disgusting. That means it's not good. Okay? All right. So that's just a little information for you right there, because it's importante. Okay, y'all know that I give y'all information and definitions when I say something. So the church is infamous for backing up people when they actually should get no kind of response or support from you, and they should feel that what they're saying is not landing. But people in church are so conditioned to actually only respond to support the person talking, even if it goes against what they know, believe, and have experienced. It's almost like, well, it is a social conditioning that is what is expected of you, and that's what you do. And I've seen quite the opposite in environments like I just described to you. That would be the opposite of a church environment, right? Like an empowerment environment, a conference environment, something else, a concert. If people are not pleased with you in those environments, they shut you down. They boo you. They throw stuff at you, right? I actually was at an event a couple of months ago, and one of the guys that were on the panel, he was saying some stuff that we were not vibing with in the audience. He was not reading the room. He was saying a lot of red flag-ish as an entrepreneur and as an investor into small businesses, right, that are scaling. He was saying some predatory stuff. Do you think that we were out there shaking our heads and bigging him up? We were not. We were looking at each other like there was literally a point in time where me and another woman looked at each other across the room, like our eyes connected. I didn't know her, but we both was like, this ain't it. And like we were not whispering. I said it at that level. This ain't it. Who booked him? Like we really were concerned about why he had a microphone, and we audibly said it. We verbalized our dissatisfaction with the person who was before us, attempting to give us information and insight, because he was not connecting with the room of people who had a need, and he was literally showing himself to be the ops for people like us in the audience. And so we were like, no, we good on him. Pass the mic to somebody else on the panel. When he would start talking, people were getting on their phones. People were getting up to get snacks and other stuff, and nobody was giving him attention because he wasn't saying anything that was connecting. This is what the problem is in the church. Nobody wants to treat people according to how they're talking or based off of what they're saying. The discernment is very low, and the response time is even slower. Okay? The discernment is low, and the response time is slow. You guys need to start shutting these people down in the moment. She's hollering and screaming, and I'm going to play this clip again, but nothing that she says has any real deep meaning. She's hollering and screaming, and nothing she says has meaning. She's hollering and screaming, but nothing she says has meaning. Because what you're doing is literally deflecting from people's real experiences, right? And you're literally absolving people in church, leaders, pastors, from any accountability and responsibility for the people who feel church hurt. And I am so confused, y'all, on how this stuff continues to happen. But it has to be because people want to be accepted so bad that they keep going back for double helpings and portions. And this woman is literally telling you to let it go. Forget about it. Get over it. Who talks to people like that? Again, why do y'all feel so comfortable and confident attacking adults verbally in church is beyond me. But it further lets you know that the mental state of a lot of people in these places is very vulnerable. It's very impressionable, that you would feel almost like a child when a baby or child picks something up and the parent says, put that down. Don't go over there. It's like that in church. But instead of it being a child that's being said that by an authoritarian, it's an adult being told that by, okay, I ain't since say by a cult leader. Oh, but I already said it. Yeah. So instead of you being a kid being told, don't touch that. Don't eat that. Don't go in there. You're being told that by a spiritual leader that you've already placed above you. So you're going to take whatever they say is the gospel, whether it's from scripture or not. There are no scriptures on church hurt that I know of. And even if you quoted them, I wouldn't care because they're there to protect people who are actually going to subject you to it. I've told you the Bible can be used in two ways, a sword and a shield. It's a sword for people in church to abuse, hurt, and stab other people with it, convict them, condemn them, and judge them. And it's a shield for them to protect themselves when people come against them with truth, wisdom, and knowledge. They got a scripture for everything to back and support what they want the narrative to be. That's why I don't follow it, because I'm not interested in using one piece of information to combat the entire nation. You have to be willing to get your information, your resources, and your wisdom and your enlightenment from different places in life based off of your experience. And that's what's not happening here. So again, we're going to play this video from Kim Owens. I'm going to give some more of my feedback, read from my notes, and then I'm going to go over some of these comments because they were giving and then some were not. Let's listen again.
We have got to get a handle on this church hurt thing. It is straight from hell. It is straight from hell. I'm sorry if there was an abuse to you in another congregation. I'm sorry if there was a leader who mishandled his or her authority. But most of the time, the hurt that you're talking about is you have been offended because somebody has called you on your laziness. Somebody has called you on your disobedience. Somebody has called you on your rebellion and on your disunity. Church, we've got to get over it so we can stop taking 2 steps forward and 5 steps backward. The devil is wreaking havoc and hell in a nation while we stay offended because we have church hurt. Come on.
Okay, so my question would immediately be, if church hurt is from hell, who brought it up here to y'all building? Just want to ask. Who's okay with being the conduit through which it flows? If church hurt is from hell and it's a divisive tactic to separate and to keep you guys confused and able to come together and be effective in the world as the church, who's allowing that to happen? Pastors, members, humans, right? I think that it is time for us to actually start, I do, and we do over here, critically think. I think that it's time for people to start actually listening to what folks say and realizing that it's not that deep. It's actually pretty surface, it's basic, and it has no standing. It has no real depth. Because talking loud on a microphone does not negate the fact that there are real people with real experiences. And she said that, I'm sorry if you've been hurt. I'm sorry if you were mishandled. I'm sorry if a pastor or leader or whatever in authority did whatever. You're saying that, but then you're moving on to negate that by saying most of you don't have church hurt though. Most of y'all are just offended. So what you're saying is that the church hurt happens and exists. But you want us to forget that, move on from that, not let that really affect us because those are people. But this stuff over here, y'all just don't want to be corrected. Y'all just don't want to live right. Y'all just don't want to do right. Y'all just don't want accountability. Y'all just don't want to listen. You just want to be offended. Emotions and feelings are real, and it is very high time that everybody starts to understand that offense and disrespect go hand in hand. You can be offended once you are disrespected. You have a right. That's what this video is about to be about. Your right to be offended because you have been disrespected. Let me tell you what these people no longer have a right to do. Disrespect you and then tell you how to respond. That's the danger of all of this, y'all. I don't know her. This is my first time ever seeing her, ever hearing anything from her. But I can tell you that today, my message to you, something that no one ever told me, you have a right to be offended because you have been disrespected. People do not get to tell you how to respond to their disrespect. You do not get to hit me and then tell me not to complain about being hit. You do not get to pinch me and then tell me not to do it. Now, let me tell you where this comes in line. Thank you, source, for this download in the moment. Think back to when you were a child. If any of you have ever been hit, whooped, pinched, any of that by a parent, a guardian, or authoritarian figure, when they would pop you, what would they tell you to do? If anybody's parent just let you scream, holler, cry, and complain about it, please drop down in the comments below and let me know, because my mama told me to be quiet. My mama told me to shut up. I would get whooped and then told to be quiet. How the hell does that add up, y'all? And this is not going to be a 15, 20-minute video. So lock in, because this is a 44. This is a 44 today, because I got time. How is it that back then, and you guys can see the connection and correlation in how, as a child, you can have things done to you, grow up and go through life and have people keep doing things to you, and you adjust your tolerance for their bull based off of what your basis is for tolerating pain inflicted by someone else. I don't know why people think that children do not soak in certain experiences and it carries with them through life. It builds their character. It builds who they are as people and what their tolerance level is for future encounters with more people like that. You start to believe that that is the norm, that that is okay, that that is acceptable, that that is the way. So when it's subtly done, when it's intentionally done, you have a block. You've built up this wall where you accept it, and it's not a red flag. It's not something that sets off an alarm for you to address, for you to get away from. You stay right there in it. Being whipped, hit with extension cords, whipped with tree limbs. Because yes, I have had all of this happen to me. Whipped with extension cords, whipped with tree limbs that I would go pick for myself. Okay, that was a part of the punishment. Go get a switch off the tree. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, God bless your heart that you never experienced that level of abuse, because that's what it was. So let's keep going. So extension cords, switches, wet rags. Like if that's all my mama could get her hands on in the moment and I said something back to her, she was hitting me with the wet rag straight up. It was no questions asked. It was a shock to me, but it happened. Okay. So having these things happen and then being told, be quiet, shut up, stop crying, or I'm going to give you something to cry about. Now you're an adult in church where you chose to be. You chose salvation, right? You get in church, you have a leader that hurts you. You have people in church who hurt you, but guess what they tell you when they disrespect you? Get over it. Let it go. We got bigger fish to fry. We got bigger work to do in the kingdom. You're just going to act like these people don't have to process through what you're doing? You're just going to act like they were given to you to build your kingdom and not God's? You're just going to act as if though they're just free labor to get your vision to come to pass? Are y'all for real just going to fly by, pass over these people blatantly playing in your face? Tic-tac-toe, Monopoly, and Candyland in your face. You don't get to disrespect me and then tell me how to respond to it. And that is a problem. I don't want to hear about the enemy, the devil, about hell. If all of that is real and true, it's using you. If all of what you're saying is real and true, you're the one being used. You're the source through which it's operating. Come on, y'all. Critical thinking for critical thinking. You're calling something out, but you're the source through which it comes, through which it flows. No one can feel church hurt. No one can have a story to share if it hadn't been done, if it hasn't been perpetrated. But you're told to suck it up and move on because we have souls to save. What about the souls you're literally hurting? What if the people you're hurting were the only people you were meant to help? Can you imagine being in Florida and a building's on fire And instead of saving the people on fire in the building, you focus on the people in a building in New York. Can you imagine having someone thirsty, dehydrated at a hospital in need of help, and instead of the doctor focusing on that person in their room at that time needing an IV and liquid or whatever, a CT scan, whatever the case may be, they focus their attention on a hospital up the street, patients that's not theirs, health history that's not their business. The people you've been given to, the people that have been called, according to y'all, to sit under you, you're literally telling them to shut up, be quiet. We got other people to go take care of. But me, what about me? You're literally being looked at and said, having someone say to you, what about you? This ain't about you. This ain't about us. This about the world. No. The people that choose to come into the church are the ones that y'all should be focusing on. Y'all are out here trying to save everybody in the world, knowing good and well that is not your call. The people who come to where you are the people you should be focusing on. But instead, you'd rather damage those people, tell them to be quiet and get over it, and help you go bring more people in to hurt too. Imagine that. Imagine being held captive, and when more people go to enter the building, instead of you shooing them away and saying, no, don't come in here. Like, instead of you making sure that they're not in harm's way, you just let them come in knowing good well what lies behind the corner for them. When you could have given them a signal to go, like, no, don't come in here. You don't do that. You bring them in knowing they're finna get what you got. That's that's mental conditioning of the worst kind for abuse that makes you so susceptible to so many other forms of abuse. Disrespect that leads to offense. If you are offended, something has been done. Let's look up the word of offense, because I am confused on why we are being told not to choose that. Why we have a problem with not allowing that. Offense, a cause of transgression or wrong, something that offends or displeases, the act of offending or displeasing or disrespecting. If I have been offended, I have a right to say something about it. When my pastor offended me on several occasions, I did something about it. I said something. I did not talk about my pastor to other people, y'all. I would say something. I would go to him. Me and my husband would talk to him and his wife about it, and nothing would change. So that brings me to my notes, y'all, because I ain't even got to that. Your job has HR. What does the church have to protect the people from you and your spiritual abuse? And I know human resources is even for the corporations as well. So let's be very clear. I'm not ignorant about that. HR is there to protect the actual company, but they have to have it in place just so there's some form of mediation and unbiased engagement in the workplace. Because if there is no form of advocacy set up, everybody is just in a wild, wild west situation. So if companies, because the church loves to compare you still going to work, even though there's messy, unsafe people there, like like you still go to work, but you don't want to come to church because it's messy people everywhere. But those messy people write my check that pay for my bills and my lifestyle. You keep asking for my check that pay for my bills and my lifestyle. You see how the two do not mix? I keep going to my job because you keep asking me for money. I can't cut my job off because then you're going to put a curse on me and my finances because I'm out of the will of God for not giving enough to the man of God or the woman of God. You see the hypocrisy? If I live by faith like you really say I should, then I need to come up off this job with these messy, unsaved folks. What jobs do the church have that I can work in and make a living? None. I thought so. So I'm still going to go back to this job with these messy folks because they pay for the lifestyle and the bills and the tithe that you want me to give. Okay. So if your job has HR, okay, if your job has the her, what do the church have? Nothing. There is nothing to protect you from the spiritual abuse, the misconduct, the poor communication, the lack of accountability and maturity of your pastor and leadership. There is nothing there to buffer you in that situation but a therapist, and you got to pay for that. Because you can take it to the Lord in prayer all you want to, but guess what's never about to happen? Them changing because you want them to. That would be usurping their will, which allegedly God never goes against our free will. So you're literally going to be stuck in this situation with the people who choose to hurt you, lie on you, mistreat you, ostracize you, control you, judge you, all of that. Your oppressor can never become your vindicator. They're never going to opt out of oppressing you because it benefits them. Telling someone to get over church hurt is insanity to me, because that's like saying, well, you made him hit you. You made her do that to you. You know how he gets when he's angry. You know how she get when she mad. She a hothead. What? That ain't never made it all right to do the things. That ain't never made DV acceptable in the eye of the law. But at church, the law doesn't exist. The law of the land does not apply to the law of the lamb. Okay, come through message, come through word. The law of the land does not clearly apply to the law of the lamb. Because y'all said that he's the lion and the lamb. Y'all pastors are the lion and y'all are the lambs. The law does not apply to the lamb. Y'all don't get no covering, baby. Y'all don't get no support. Y'all don't get no vindication. You don't have any rights in here. Let it go. Get over it. Church hurt is lame. Church hurt has no place here. Church hurt is from hell. Y'all love to, you know how your clothes say made in China, made in Spain, made in India, made in Romaine, child, whatever it's from. Yo, church hurt is made in church. Clearly. But they love to tell you that it ain't got nothing to do with them. Allegedly, it was made in hell. No, it was made up here with you. I see you every week. Intensive care unit. I see you every week. You're doing it. You're the author of the confusion. Nobody in hell is doing this. You. And even if that's true, the source, the spirit, all of that is operating through you. So we got to look at that. So there's a difference, but it's very, very few people who are willing to think about this. Correction versus arrogance. Okay. So you can correct people and not have to worry about offense as long as they're willing to accept it. See, I like to stay somewhere in that sweet spot where I surround myself with people who I trust to correct me. I'm going to say this again. I surround myself with people I trust to correct me, not people I expect or do not trust to correct me because they would only be doing it to make me feel bad or only be doing it to keep me in line in place. I don't like that. I choose to surround myself with people who do not agree with me only, but who also respect me enough to correct me. And I ain't gonna even say in love, just period, because you don't even have to love me. I don't need a business partner to love me, to correct me and say, no, I don't think that's the right idea. No, I don't think you handled that correctly. You shouldn't have sent that email. That should have been a phone call, right? Or my sister, no, you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't treat them like that. You shouldn't cut them off. You should respond to them. I don't think you handled that right. I trust you and respect you enough to allow the correction and not to feel as if though it's an attack. That's what pastors lack. Y'all, pastors and leaders don't want to be corrected. So they'll blame it on you. They'll gaslight you and say things like she said. Sorry if you've been hurt. Sorry if your pastor has misused his authority. What? Let's stop right there because that's what leads to church hurt. But instead you want to turn around and say, but most of you are just offended because you've been corrected and told this and had this said to you. What about that is my fault when my pastor has no one that can say anything to them? My pastor can preach sermons about people's business. My pastor can throw off and throw shade from the pulpit/stage. Who corrects them? Nobody. Shout out to Keith Sweat. But you all are so okay with telling me that I have church hurt, But y'all pastors be walking in arrogance because they know can't nobody correct them. And if you do, you're out of order. You're putting a curse on yourself by speaking on the man of God or the woman of God, speaking against them. What? So now you all got unlimited coverage and protection. Shout out to Nationwide being on your side. And what do I have? The general insurance, bitch? I'm sorry, y'all. The Christina came up out of Christian. What package do I have? Because if you have full coverage, I'm out here with just liability. It's my fault. I'm liable for whatever you say and do to me. Confusion. And y'all claim it's coming from hell, but it's really coming from you. It's not from hell. It's from him. It's from her. It's from them. But they don't want you to notice that. They don't want you to step up and say that. They don't want you to actually engage according to that information. Look, I'm with y'all. I'm trekking with you. I ain't got no problem with you and what you teaching. But what we finna stop doing is sweeping this stuff underneath the rug. We're going to have to stop playing with the carpet in the sanctuary. I can't believe any of y'all's carpet actually lay flat with all of the bones and the skeletons that's under it. With all of the church hurt in the midst, there should be nowhere for anyone to sit comfortably knowing that there are people who are bruised, hurt, and broken because of their ministry. Not because of the engagement with the outside world, but because of what has happened inside the four walls of the church. And let me say this, you are not even at church as often as you are at work. So that should be even more concerning, y'all. When you work a job, usually you are giving 20 to 40 hours of your time. You are in church on average for 3 hours a week. And that's for the really, really active people. And that's for the churches who really, really do a lot in one Sunday. I'm going to give you 3 hours in one Sunday, and I'm going to give you 3 hours total a week if you have a 1 hour Sunday service, and then you have a practice or a phone call or a meeting or a small group. 3 hours total a week versus 20 to 40 hours. And most of y'all go to work with no problem, but you're in church and you are literally in turmoil and misery. Comparison will always help you break down what is actually the source of your problem. Start doing more calculations. Church math. You know how they got that the girl math thing that's going around on social media? Like girl math is spending $5 at Starbucks, spending $10 here at Target, spending $15 here, and then checking your bank account and confused about why it's in the negative. Girl math. I still got something like in my PayPal. I got a couple over there. Girl math is always making enough out of nothing. Because you still want to enjoy your day. Yourself, child. Overdraft is girl math. Church math is I'm going to disrespect you. I'm going to offend you. I am going to play with you. I am going to manipulate you. I am going to extort you. But you cannot title it as church hurt. That's church math. Do whatever I want to do to you. Don't say nothing to me. It never adds up. Never adds up. And it always equals that they're not wrong, but you are also not right. Woo! You get that? Do y'all get what I just said? They're never wrong, but you are also not right. If you were right, that would mean that they were wrong. So if they're never wrong and you're never right, do you get how that always negates your experience? Pretty much nothing ever happened to you. Nothing ever happened to me. Nobody ever did anything to me at all in church. Because if I'm not right and they're not wrong, what is going on? Forget about it. Let it go. Take it to the Lord in prayer and leave it there. Child, I guess I will not be taking it nowhere and leaving it. We gonna windmill our way through this together. Oh, it's 2:22 while I'm recording this. Oh, I'm telling you, it's always happening. Okay. So I have some more notes, but I want to get to the comment section here, and maybe I will get back around to these points. I have a good close for you guys, unless it shifts and change while I'm going through some of these comments and responding. But I want you guys to know that what I'm sharing here today, and I'm not even speaking from a place of hurt anymore. I used to be hurt when it was like the very, very, fresh beginning of the deconstruction journey and things, just having happened. But one thing I can say, and I think this is like a character trait for me specifically and my husband, we don't seek to get people to believe us. Like I don't care if you believe me. I don't care if you believe anything that I say. It's not my goal or my life's mission to convince anyone of who I am or what I know or what I've done or haven't. The truth will always win out. That's what my mom always taught us. And my husband, in his great wisdom as a 20-year-old, when my cousin lied on him, he said one thing that I never will ever, ever forget: I will not chase a lie. I will not chase a lie. The truth will always outlive a lie. I'm not chasing a lie because the truth will always outlive a lie. And we can see that with how people's lives and situations shift and change, where it will become very noticeable. Oh, okay, yeah, that probably was her fault back in the day with that situation. Because look at where she at now. It's still happening. And they ain't even involved. This a whole new set of folks that ain't got nothing to do with the past, but she here again with new people. You will find yourself in cycles. A lot of people like to call them generational curses. I don't call them generational curses because my generation ain't cursed, neither will my children's generation be cursed or their children. I don't claim stuff that I didn't take part in causing. So cycles are what you can contribute things to. Your behavior, your personality, your engagement, your speech, your mindset, those are cycles. You can break them at any given time. No prayer required. Better choices recommended, though. Okay. Not writing prescriptions, but I definitely know the pharmacy you can go to get that filled. So, all I'm saying is that it's just so amazing to me that the expectations of everyone is to be hurt and speak from a place of hurt. But it's like, no, I just opted out of the games and decided to claim my sanity and my peace again. And that's what a lot of people report having when they leave church. I cannot tell you guys how many comments I get on videos, old videos, the new ones now, of people saying the same thing. I'm not in church anymore and I feel better than I've ever felt. I have more peace than I've ever had. My life is so much joyful than it ever has been. I don't worry about certain things anymore. I'm okay. I don't feel guilty. Everybody feels pressure and weight lifted off of them when they leave church. And it's crazy because you have people saying, like you're trading in this, what is it? He'll give you peace for the spirit of heaviness or something like that. I can't think of what it is that I've always heard growing up. And that's another thing that I'm happy about too. Sometimes I can't even recall things that I heard and said so much because I've gotten it out of me. I've purged that stuff. I've purged the indoctrination to where I can't just recall all stories in the Bible and scriptures like I used to know and think about and hear, because I'm not hearing it anymore. And what you're not feeding yourself, you're not digesting it or ingesting it, and it doesn't come out. Right? Like you can't eat something or not eat something, but that still comes out of you. That don't make sense. I didn't ingest that. So how did that digest and come out? It's not possible. So I can't say something that I don't practice and that I don't have in me. And I don't have all of these anecdotes, and I don't have all of these references and these scriptures. I don't want to, because I've seen what it hasn't done for other people. So I know that I'm not interested in latching and attaching myself back to it to use it against other people to defend myself. But I do know that it's so, hypocritical to say that you can exchange joy for sorrow, but so many people have found themselves so much joyful not being in these bondage driven environments and these situations like this that will gaslight the hell out of you and tell you that it is hell that's doing it, but it's really them. So let's get into these comments, y'all. So the first one here, we have someone who said, there is a difference between hurt and correction. Both is valid. There are people that have been truly offended by leaders in the church, and some of us do need to be corrected. I just said it a minute ago in my from my notes, it's amazing how people are completely okay with being corrected by pastors, but who corrects them? And I also want to ask you guys, why are some of y'all so okay with just anybody correcting you? I'll never understand it. It's as if though you can only get this correction spiritually or religiously from a pastor. Do you let people just in your everyday personal life correct you? Or do you only feel as if though the only ones with the power, clout, and position to do it is a pastor? I'm interested in knowing, because I can tell you right now, yes, some of us do need guidance and correction depending on the situation, but I don't feel like that only comes from a pastor. And I'm gonna tell you something else. Pastors aren't the only ones with discernment or access and wisdom to correct. A lot of people and pastors in general are missing main things that need to be corrected. And majority of it is internally. Moving right along. Tiffany says, what she is saying is very true. Unfortunately, people just like to throw those words around easily. But there has been some people, but there have been people who have really suffered church hurt. But what she is saying, God doesn't want you to stay in that. Get you some help. Call the person out, but don't sit in pity, slip into depression. God didn't want you to get hurt, and he sure don't want you to suffer. I agree with that. I agree with everything you just said. And that was a part of my closing statement here about the church having this teaching for you to come as you are, but the word will change you. Come as you are, but don't stay as you are. It's amazing because everybody in the church tends to stay the way that they are. I have not met anyone who has just had a miraculous change in who they were and how they thought. Initially there's some kind of shift and change because they're being love bombed and they're having these intense emotional encounters in church with people who need them to see a certain experience or have a certain experience in order to trust them and stay. But then those scales from their eyes begin to be removed, but by that time it's almost like you're in sinking sand and you feel obligated to stick around because they helped you a couple of times or they did this or they've always been so nice and I don't want to leave, I'll be out of the will of God. By that time you've gotten so heavily indoctrinated that you don't know how to stand up for yourself. Well, me on the other hand, that didn't happen to me. I've never been the person who allows people to disrespect me or others in front of me. So I've always spoken up for myself and for others, even to the point of being labeled as insubordinate in middle school, because I just didn't do what you told me to do because you were the leader, because you were the teacher, because you were the principal. If you were doing wrong, I said something. I don't care if you write me up. I didn't do anything. All I did was call you out. So if you're upset because I called you out and I'm a kid, then that's a personal problem, but you shouldn't have did what you did. And that's me as an adult. If I see something, I say something. If you do it towards me, I'm definitely saying something sooner than later because I'm not about to sit under you and not like you. I'm not about to be talking about you and not to you. I'm saying something to you. Can you fathom going to church and not liking your pastor, ignoring him or her? Why are you there? That speaks to your lack of maturity and theirs. That they don't even discern that there's a problem to speak on it, and that you even want to keep sitting under someone you don't like. That's a mental issue, y'all. Let's move on, because I don't think y'all are grasping this. Pastors and leaders don't only hold the accountability here, members do too. For acting as if though doing nothing and saying nothing gets them a fast pass to heaven. It doesn't. Address the mess and you will be blessed. Next comment. I can't stand when leaders try to downplay when many people have been spiritually abused and mishandled, manipulated and controlled by these leaders. Own it, repent, sit down and heal. That's the only way the church will heal and grow. I agree. I think that the unfortunate part about that goes back to the accountability and the correction versus the arrogance. And also the initial bottom line foundational point here that people at church believe that it's okay to disrespect people and then tell them how to respond to it, to not be offended to the disrespect. Let it go, take it to God, get over it, heal, get delivered from that. You're going to get to a point where your deliverance tokens are going to run out. Okay? Giving very much Dave and Buster. They're going to run out. I don't have no more deliverance tokens to put in this machine, ma'am. Y'all keep doing stuff to me, sir, and y'all want me to forget it. I don't have no more tokens. So now we're going to have to address it because I've put the last one in the machine. You know what I mean? Okay. So it's time for people to be willing to come clean and to, as the people in church love to say, humble themselves. Like, think of yourself lower than you actually are, because pastors don't do that. Pastors are not usually walking in humility. They have false humility. They have hypocritical humility, but they don't have arrogant. Well, they do. They have arrogant confidence. They're confident and arrogant, but they don't have real humility. They're hypocritically like humble. And that don't work when you need to actually show up and protect people and have communication and community, which would make you even more trustworthy. Like, dang, pastor really did step up to the plate. Like, he did. He admitted that he hasn't been doing X, Y, and Z, or he hasn't been noticing things, and he does need to do better. That, to me, says that you have a servant leader heart, where you don't see people as beneath you, you see people beside you, and when they bring something to you, you respect that information. Just like you want them to receive what you're saying, but imagine always being the teller of this stuff, always being the reporter of the problems, but never a solution, right? You always want to tell me what I'm doing, show me my error, inform me that you're not pleased, but what are we doing next? How are we growing from here? And why is that even running rampant in your environment that you are the leader of? Questions that need answers. Next comment. This is sad that it was shared without compassion for those of us who have been hurt, but never left God. We left pride and ego, not God. That's right, Leanne, baby. The pride and the ego is on full display. I heard Dawson of the channel Dawson Speaks. He's always covering church scandal and topics. I mean, it's a lot of them, and he covers them. And he said that ego is an acronym that stands for edging God out. And people are constantly edging God out in church. And they swear that by you leaving church, you've left God. No, I left you. I left your pride. I left your ego. I left your control. I left your grasp. I left hell. Ooh, y'all ain't ready. Okay, so the next comment said, this is sickening and misalignment of preaching. She's not preaching the word and just ranting. Some people have been hurt, and we can't dismiss this. No matter how much you yell or powerful, it comes out. Girl, you better say that, because that's surely what I said in the beginning. I don't care how much she yell into this microphone. It means nothing if you're loud and wrong. It means nothing if you're being dismissive. And I've learned this being an adult, being, in psychology and just understanding. Now I understand more than ever being a mom and having small humans that I'm raising to be adult humans and realizing their feelings matter. People growing up treated children in my generation that I remember, and I was telling my mom this a couple of weeks ago, y'all used to act like we were not around. You all would have conversations around us. You all would do things around us, not bad things, but I'm just saying there was as if though we moved anonymously, like we were just moving around with no kind of identity. Like nobody talked to us. People talked over us. Nobody asked us how we felt or how our day was or what we liked or what we thought. You all were just engaging in life as if though we were just children. Them just kids. They don't want nothing. They don't need nothing. They got lights, water, shelter, food, clothes. They good. And nothing about us was taken into account. And now when you have parents who don't know their children, people are out here acting like, oh, how dare you talk to your parents like that or not want a relationship? I don't know you and you don't know me. You said nothing to me. You engaged with me 0%. You nurtured me -10. But you want me to be your little friend? I think not. Like, it's just crazy. And I've been seeing that now with a lot of people who are talking about not having relationships with their parents or not really want to take care of their parents in their old age, because it's like, who were you to me? Yeah, you did the things you should have done as a parent, but now that we're here, right now, you're being disrespectful because you don't know me, and I'm not the person you raised. I'm not the kid you ignored. I'm not the child that you overlooked. So I am very cognizant of my children and their feelings because I don't want to be dismissive of their emotions. I want to let them know that everything they're feeling matters. And when you make them feel like that, you confirm that when people don't acknowledge their feelings, they need to pull out of the situation and relationship. Okay, you're not acknowledging me. I don't need you to validate my feelings, but I need you to acknowledge my feelings so we can work on whatever's going wrong here, or we're not going to communicate. I need my children to have that kind of power to determine who actually gets access to them instead of them giving everyone access and then being damaged by those people because they are mishandled. Y'all don't hear me. So what's going on here with this woman using the microphone because she's in front of people to say things? You're literally telling adults to let go and let God. But the very ironic thing about it is the very thing you want me to let go and let God take care of, God hasn't done it. Because that's why there's a slew of victims like in the trail. One pastor with 50 plus people that don't like him, don't trust him, don't love him, don't want to hear his name. How is that? God clearly hasn't done anything. God hasn't changed this person's heart, intent, integrity. And God ain't about to. God is not going to change you. You have to want to be different. Your mind has to shift. You have to actually acknowledge that you are the problem. So the letting go and letting God you want me to do is actually so that you don't have to deal with me anymore. So you don't have to hear what I have to say. But guess what? You'll just find a new victim once I sit down and shut up. And you'll be able to look at me and say, yeah, I remember what I did to her. Look at her. She don't say nothing now. You remember that time I snapped on her? You remember that time I said this over the pulpit? You guys get to hold badges of honor and flex in a weird way that you're controlling adults and bringing in new ones to do it too, not realizing that the joke is on you. You have this bad karma trailing you. You have these people who, when given the chance, they're going to do it back to you. But that's when y'all like to scream and shout and talk about pastors being depressed and going through it. I bet y'all do go through it because look at what y'all putting out there. The seeds be sprouting. That's all I'm going to say. All right, we got two more comments and then I'm going to let y'all go. Lisa here said, let's be very, very clear here. Church hurt is not spiritual abuse. Okay. With the amount of full-blown spiritual abuse happening right now in the body of Christ, these type of blanket statements do a ton of damage. Very disappointing to hear this minimizing of what has been going on in the body of Christ. Okay, I get it. I get it. I get that. I get what she's saying. But I know for me, I feel like they are mutually exclusive. I'm not going to even lie to you. Church hurt, spiritual abuse, all of it lumps together because you can't determine how people express how they feel when they've been exposed to something. If you want a title being lied on, manipulated, hurt, disrespected, disregarded as church hurt, you can. If you want to say that being emotionally or financially abused and manipulated is spiritual abuse, you can, because you're using religion, you're using spiritual relationship and connection, and you're using spiritual guardianship and leadership to abuse people. Spiritual abuse to me simply means you're using a belief system to abuse someone, to hurt them, to mistreat them, to disrespect them. And then you're turning it on them to make them feel as if though they have to succumb to it. Or if they don't, or if they leave, or they speak out, they're going to be punished or cursed for it. That's spiritual abuse. If you don't give, you're going to be under a curse. If you don't sow, if you don't show up, if you don't sacrifice your time, if you don't give to this, if you don't do that, if you're not here for this, if you're not speaking, acting, conducting, engaging a certain way, that's spiritual abuse. You're using a belief system to control a person's free will. Church hurt is the same thing. You lie on me, you hurt me, you abuse me. Y'all stop playing semantics. I don't have time for it. It's very ridiculous what Kim was talking about in this video, and that's just what it is. And I don't know if her and Real Talk Kim are friends, but Kim for Kim. Okay, Kim Possible. That's what it's giving. It's giving Kim Possible. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me, whatever they got going on. All I'm telling you all today, right now, in this moment, is that there are a lot of people who don't want to call a thing, and we have to get to that point. And that's what this channel is for, calling it what it is. Spiritual abuse is church hurt. Church hurt is spiritual abuse. You can title it how you want to. No, you wouldn't call it gym hurt. You wouldn't call it office hurt, right? But church hurt is just that. It took place here. It took place with people from here. It took place because I was going here. It took place because you had access to me here. It took place because I trusted you here. It took place because you used your position and your power here. Church hurt. Why are y'all focusing on that title but not the offenses? Last comment. LaRon said, "No, this ain't it." And her projection doesn't make it any better. Preachers, y'all have to learn how to communicate from a place of love and compassion on topics that you don't agree with. Because this type of communication doesn't help anyone who has actually dealt with church hurt. And the first step to ending church hurt is to take accountability of the actual hurt that has been done by the church. And that's what the church lacks, because the preacher / pastor is always right. Who, Jesus? Oh my God. Didn't I tell y'all? They not wrong, but you not right. They ain't wrong, but you ain't right. That's how this goes. That's the way church goes. Whoo. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Shout out to Janet. So what he said is what I said. Okay. All right. And just so y'all know, I be screenshotting these comments and scrolling. Like, I don't even be reading them in full because I'm like, let me grab a couple here, there, everywhere. I read usually like the first 2 sentences to get a, little taste of what we gonna get. So this is my first time reading it through, and it's giving. Okay. All right. The preacher / pastor is always right. And whatever he or she says is right because that's the man / woman of God. And that's where the real issue is. The church folks can do all the correcting. Oh my God. Oh, Lord. There's a reason why this message was last. There's a reason why this one is last. This man is literally summing up everything I've said in this video. Won't he do it? Yes, he will. Okay, so let's keep going. The church folks can do all the correcting, but they can never be corrected. That ain't right at all. There are people out there who have been legit traumatized by the church, and this stance doesn't do anything to correct that. I agree. I overstand. I don't understand. I overstand what he's saying. And I think that the beauty in what has happened, and even with this channel here, you guys, it's so important that you understand that I am only able to do this video because I am healed. I have experienced church hurt. Church hurt is not a bad thing. Do not let people tell you that you're wrong for being hurt by what has happened to you in church. It is crazy that people want to call it offense, but not church hurt because they don't want the church to get a bad name. People at church are the problem. So I don't know what you want me to call it. Fish tank hurt? You want me to call this apple pie hurt? You want me to call this banana pudding hurt? You want me to call this television hurt? Candle hurt? Microphone hurt? Pulpit hurt? Keyboard hurt? Drummer hurt? Chair hurt? Pew hurt? Light hurt? Doorknob hurt? Offering basket hurt? What do you want me to call it? This is all stuff going on here at the church. So this is what I have to work with. Don't play with me or y'all. But all I'm saying is that I can do these videos because I'm over it. It happened. Oh, yes, it did. Oh my God, yes, it did happen. It happened. And I'm not going to even say it happened for my good because it didn't. Anything that hurts you, it's not for your good. Don't fall for that either. Don't be out here saying that no more either if you say that or have said it. The wrong or the bad things that happen in your life are not ever for your good. It just shouldn't have happened. Period. We got to stop trying to want to turn lemon into lemonade, so we should be throwing them back at the people who did it. I'm going to hit you in your head. Okay? All right. I'm not making lemonade with what you did to me. I want to hit you. I want to hurt you because you hurt me. But when you get over that place, which a lot of people do and some people never do, you find yourself like in this sweet spot, or a sour spot, if you will. For me, it eventually became a sweet spot because I completely detached myself from any church environment. Sometimes it can feel very lonely depending on what your personality is and what you needed from church and what church was to you. It can be a very detrimental move to disassociate yourself from it if that's what your whole personality and identity was formulated in and anchored to. And so I know that everybody will not have the kind of break from church that I've had, that people will not be able to stick a flag in the sand and say, this is me, this is who I am, back up, leave me alone, right? I get that. But what I will tell you is that whatever you are feeling or whatever you have felt, you are validated in it. There is no heaven and there is no hell that can make you wrong for what you have gone through. There is none. Because as you can see, even when you know what you know, there are people who are still waiting to tell you that it is not so. So there's never going to be a line of validation. There's never going to be a line of appeasement. You're never going to be able to please everyone. There's always going to be a different stance on your circumstance. You take the one that serves you. You walk in that. You live in that to your greatest power and empowerment. Do not let what someone has said or done to you remove your power from you. Stand in it. Act on it. If you do not want to take it to them and say anything, don't. But do remove yourself. Protect yourself from any further abuse, from any more dismissiveness, from any more gaslighting and disrespect. You do not deserve that at the hands of God nor at the hands of man. Nobody told me that, but that's why I'm telling you. You can be offended because someone has disrespected you. They do not get to tell you what your response should be because of how they handled you. Protect yourself, respect yourself. That's the best thing that you can do. So what Kim Owens here has said, I get that that may have been her clarion call to the church or the body of Christ, but that is not the right one. And another sermon, message, hot take, soundbite that is viral, but is a poor representation of what it truly means to have the love of God exhibited and in operation in your own life. Very trash take. Very sad to hear. But I won't go back down my hole. All I hope is that you will remove yourself, protect yourself, save yourself, and know that you have a right to respond when you have been disrespected. You are not wrong, and you still have place here, so protect it. All right, you guys, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for tuning in and sticking around. I know this has been a longer one. I will keep it. Oh, my God, I was doing so good, so good, so good. I was doing good, y'all, with the shorter videos. But she had to come along and play in my face, and I just couldn't take it. All right, let me go so I can celebrate my son's birthday. Drop down in the comment section below. Let me know how you guys like the video. What are your thoughts on her take of church hurt? Have you ever gone through anything? Do you know anyone that has gone through anything and it caused them to leave church? Did they leave God too? Did they leave the faith, the belief system? How did they process it? How have you processed it? And what are your next steps, or how do you feel about this? I would love to keep the conversation going. If you enjoyed the video and my commentary, please let me know and like the video. Subscribe to the channel. I would love to add you to my 2 cents crew. Until next time, I will catch you in the next video. Bye.